Hello guys, and welcome back to our second class of our introduction to Jupyter. So basically in today's class we are going to learn how to work with Jupyter, and we are going to write down some basic lines of code. Once again, before starting this class, I highly suggest you guys to have some basic knowledges of Python, because we are going to write down our first lines of code. Of course, I'm gonna explain them to you, but once again, to be able to follow the course and not focus only on Python, you guys should have some basic knowledge. So let's jump right into it. The first thing that I'll ask you guys to do is open up your Anaconda Navigator and launch your Jupyter notebook simply by clicking on the button right here. So when it's all done, it's gonna be launched. Next thing that we want to do is pretty simple. We want to open up a new folder. So in this case, it's gonna be a Python tree. When it's all done, we'll simply give a name to our folder. Let's call it project in this case. Here we go. So the first thing that we are going to talk about right here is pretty simple. We are going to talk about how works the Jupyter notebook, and what exactly you guys can do with it. Well, how exactly you can work with it, and what is the difference between the Jupyter notebook and any other text editor. Well, text editor, for example, like PyCharm. So let's start. Basically, the first thing that you guys have inside of your Jupyter notebook, this would be your main page. You will have the buttons right here. So to be able to save your changes, pretty simple, you simply click on the button right here, and usually it's gonna be automatically saved. So as you can see, the auto save mode is activated, so it's gonna be automatically saved. Then in your PyCharm or any other text editor, you usually don't have cells. Inside of your Jupyter notebook, you have cells. So there is not only one cell, you can have more than one cell. For example, if I want to add a cell, it's going to be by clicking on the little plus sign right here. So pretty simple, I can add as many cells as I want. And it's pretty cool because it allows me to really organize my code. So let's say I want to write down a function right here. I want to store some variables right here. I want to write down another function right here. And which is pretty cool is that I can move my cells from up to down. If you guys want to duplicate your cells, well, first of all, if you want to delete your cells, it's going to be there. So simply click on the scissors. If you guys want to duplicate your cells, it's going to be here. So you can select a copy cell and you can copy your cell. So let's say, for example, we have a cell right here. We will write down something simple. So a simple function, let's print pizza, for example. Here we go. I have my function. So I run my function. I have pizza right here. Let's say I want to copy this cell right there, and I passed my cell. And as you can see, it has been copied and pasted down there. All right, so pretty simple. If I want to move my cells, so let's say I have more than one cell, I have a lot of cells, I can take this code right here and move it from up to down. So right now I have absolutely nothing. I just have a print function with pizza inside of it that doesn't mean nothing. But let's say, for example, I have variables right here that I want to work with them down there. I can do it. I can just have my variables here, and let's say I want to put them down there. Here I have a function where I want to take a function and move it somewhere higher or anything. I can move my cells how I want, which is pretty cool in this case with Jupyter. All right, next thing, to run our apps, to run our code, I mean, it's going to be just there. You simply click on the run button. If you want to stop the code that is running, it's going to be on the little interrupt button right here. So this is for the basics of, of Python, of Jupyter, sorry. So it's pretty simple. As you can see, it's pretty simple to use. Next thing that we are going to talk about would be our first Python lines of code. So how exactly can we work with it? So as you saw some seconds before, in this with the Jupyter, you don't have a terminal down here like you do in, for example, PyCharms. So basically, if you write down your code, it's gonna be printed right under the cell right there. So just for the purpose to understand how Jupyter works, and for the purpose of everybody who is in the course and maybe don't understand Python that much, we'll write down a very simple line of code, and I will explain really the basics of Python, which we'll talk about variables, numbers, and booleans. So let's try it out. The first thing that we'll do is simply create two variables that are strings. So in this case, let's say we will call it name1 and name well, name2 and name0. And in this case, let's name our name, well, our name variable will be pizza. So for those who never really programmed and are right now writing down their first lines of code, what I'm doing right now is I'm creating my variables, which is name and name2, and I'm storing strings inside of my variables. So I created two variables. The first one is called name and the second variable is called name2. I have three types of variables, which could be strings or plain text. Strings are simply plain text. I have numbers, which can be 1 to infinite. So in this case, let's say we have quantity 1 and quantity 2. Those two quantities will be numbers. So in this case, we'll have number 2 and number 4. So as you can see here, I have my pizza, I have my pasta. Those two are strings, and those variables right here are numbers. It's possible to transform strings into numbers and numbers into strings, because when you write down a line of code, you can't use both strings and numbers at the same place. So if you try to run, for example, a sentence that contains numbers and strings, it's not gonna work. You guys need to transform your strings. If you wanna use only strings, you need to transform all your numbers into strings. So let's write down a very simple line of code. And in this case, this line of code right here. So what exactly this line of code means, it's pretty simple. First of all, I want, what exactly do I want? So when I write down, well, let's start by print. So first of all, I have my print function. I give the order to print something. So what I give the order to print? I give the order to print I want. So this would be the first part of our function. This is just plain text. This is a string. What I want exactly, I want quantity 1. So quantity 1 in this case is the number 2. Why I wrote a str right here, this is the function that we use to transform numbers into strings. So as I said, we can't have strings and numbers inside of the same sentence. Then what exactly do I want? I want quantity 1 plus name. This means I want 2 pizzas. So we have our quantity 1, which is 2, plus name, which is pizza, plus we have our plain text or our string and in this case we just put it inside of those little parentheses, plus I want quantity number 2. In this case it means 4, plus name 2. In this case it means pasta. So if we run our app, logically it's gonna give us I want 2 pizzas and 4 pastas. So let's try it out. As you can see right here, we have an error sign. So why exactly do we have an error? It's pretty simple. It's because it says quantity 1 is not defined. Pretty simple. Let's try something else. So usually the error comes when you guys just don't add the little space bar. And as you can see here, it works. So pretty simple. The problem was simply right here. So there were no spaces. And this is how the error came. So this is a typical error with Jupyter that you guys can have sometimes. Just a little space button will make it work or not work. So really be careful about it. I'm not gonna give you a complete course of how to debug all errors, because once again, this is just a really basic line of code. So right now you guys understand how exactly works Jupyter. So it's pretty simple. Jupyter is, as I said, a text editor and well, a notebook. And you can use it to write down your lines of code. And right now you know exactly how it works, what all the buttons right here means, and how everything works. Don't forget to save your work. So pretty simple, you simply save it. So this way, next time that you connect to your Jupyter, you will be able to see your work. So in this case, if for example, we decide to click on X right here, we have our project, which is right there. We can just run it. So we can simply click on our project. And as you can see, we will have our project right here. So that's it for this class, guys, and see you all in our next class.